Your donations will be used to send the winners of the dating game to the Rainforest Cafe, and not the good one, the one at Disney Springs. Not sending you to DAC. You gotta pay for parking.
I mean, it's crazy.
What?
We finish each other's
Sandwiches.
That's what I was gonna say.
I never thought that someone
Jinx so much
told
like
me. Jinx! Jinx again. Our mental synchronization can have but one explanation.
You
And I
were
was
just
meant to be.
Someone's being brutally murdered in the back of the room. That or someone's on Tron. You can hear the people on Tron from here.
Yeah.
The bar on my calf is so tight. Cutting off circulation in my brain. This is News Today with WDW News Today. I'm Tom Corliss of WDWNT.com. Please like this video, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell to make sure you never miss the latest from the Disney theme parks all around the world. Here now is the news for February 10th, 2023. And yes, we are already ready for Valentine's Day. We just did our Valentine's Day episode of WDW News Tonight over on the WDWNT TV channel. And you should go check it out because it was a wild and fun and amazing show. So please go watch it. I know you just saw the ad for it. We keep trying to get you guys to go over there and watch it. I think it's a great show. I think you guys, we need more of you to go over there and watch it. Please support it. The winner of Sunday's Super Bowl will be celebrated at Disneyland rather than Walt Disney World for the second year in a row. This Sunday night, the Kansas City Chiefs will face the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 57. On the line is the Lombardi Trophy, bragging rights, and most importantly, a victory parade at Disneyland. Just please go with it, folks. The winning team from the NFL's annual Super Bowl game has traditionally been celebrated at Walt Disney World, with the most valuable player being part of the iconic "I'm Going to Disney World" commercial. Last year, for the first time, the Super Bowl winning Los Angeles Rams celebrated at Disneyland rather than Walt Disney World. I mean, it's an LA team, it made sense. Now, according to Disney Parks, Walt Disney World is being skipped for the second straight year. Last year's game even took place in Los Angeles, making the decision very easy, of course, also being an LA team. This year, the game is taking place in Phoenix, which is still much closer to Disneyland than Disney World. However, though, of course, if the Eagles won, they technically are a team closer to Disney World. They're an East Coast team, so I know a lot of Eagles fans are upset already about this. Next year, the Super Bowl will be in Vegas, so maybe it'll be a third year in a row. Either might have to wait till 2025 until that Super Bowl parade comes back to Walt Disney World. I know we usually keep Disneyland stories on our Disneyland News Today show, which is once a week on Thursdays. Obviously, this greatly affects Disney World. It's a big tradition at Disney World, but sharing the love with Disneyland. My Miami Dolphins have been bad for a very long time. I don't need to worry, but God, if somehow they ever make it to the Super Bowl and win, please let it be. I would fly to Disneyland. If it's going to be there, you know, don't get me wrong. Miami Dolphins are never going to win a Super Bowl in my lifetime because that's just never going to happen for me. But if it did, if there was a parade in a Disney park, I would move heaven and earth to be there. But instead, I'll just look at my frame picture of Dan Marino on the wall and my 1972 stuff from a championship I was not even alive for. Enough about my sadness. Let's move on. Josh D'Amaro addressed the announcement that the Walt Disney Company would be cutting 7,000 jobs in an email to cast members this week. D'Amaro, chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences and Products, told cast members that the cuts will impact every section of the company, including their division. However, Disney does not expect those cuts to impact hourly frontline operations cast. Someone messaged me this week on Instagram and was like, "Oh, look at Universal's hiring 2,500 people and Disney's firing 7,000." I was like, well, Universal Parks is hiring in Orlando. They're hiring frontline people, right? Disney World still needs frontline people. I will tell you, every time I watch anything on YouTube, you guys maybe even saw the ad before you started watching this video, I get that Disney World is hiring thing every single video, and I watch a lot of YouTube, mind you. I get that Disney World hiring ad every 5 minutes on YouTube. So they are very much still hiring at Disney World. They need frontline people. This is going to be aimed at middle and upper management, right? Which, if we're being total, like, no one should lose their job. I'm sorry. But at the same time, like, the Disney company of the modern era has had a lot of bloated middle and upper management, right? And that's, in a lot of cases, their communication problems. Some of their other issues are from that. So if this is, if they're going to streamline the company, make communication better, and not hurt their frontline cast, so they're already, fighting with over wages with the union negotiations. That is what it is. And I'm sure if people are higher up in the company, they have a lot more opportunities to land on their feet. So we'll see what happens, but I'm glad it's not frontline cast, and I'm also not surprised either. During the Q&A portion of the Q1 2023 earnings call, Disney CEO Bob Iger announced that in order to fuel growth in the Disney park sector, the company will be investing in new lands and attractions in order to increase capacity without overcrowding their theme parks, a significant shift for the company after decades of neglect at some parks. During the call, Iger noted that in order to drive growth for the parks, one of the best ways to allow for more guest attendance and thus revenue is to increase overall capacity of the park and do that through new lands and attractions. Quote, lastly, we have learned that when we invest in increasing capacity, the Star Wars lands were a great example of that. Pandora was a great example of that. We can grow our business. In fact, if you look at the results when we put Pandora at Animal Kingdom from year to year, they were stunning at how many more people were visiting Animal Kingdom. I mentioned earlier in the call how we're going to bring a version of Avatar to Disneyland. We have other opportunities as well. I've talked to Josh D'Amaro about this very recently, like this morning, to really look at all the great franchises in the company and see where we can invest them into the parks to increase capacity while preserving guest satisfaction. Of course, a lot of capital investments in the parks in more recent years has been focused outside of the castle parks. Capacity more often not added to those, but rather moved to a new attraction in the same spot. We've seen this a lot. We saw Guardians of the Galaxy replace Universal Energy. We saw Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway replace the Great Movie Ride at Hollywood Studios. A great example of this new plan would be what they have announced as Blue Sky concepts back at the D23 Expo for what's beyond Big Thunder Mountain at the Magic Kingdom, which included lands based on Coco, Encanto, and the Disney villains, all of which replace nothing and are just expanded land in the park with more for people to do. What Iger spoke of at the earnings call definitely reflects more of these projects and the lands. Again, replace nothing, but have some of Disney's most popular franchises of all time. Not just recent memory, like Coco and Encanto, more recent, but when they showed us the Villain's Land, who was front and center? Maleficent. That movie came out, by the way, in 1959, folks. So that's, that is not a newer, hip franchise. That is just something that has stood the test of time. Iger emphasized twice that Avatar experiences are set to come to Disneyland, although few other details were announced. He specifically mentioned a version of Avatar in passing when talking about Pandora, the world of Avatar, at Animal Kingdom as an example. So I know there's so much arguing. We released news today, or Disneyland news today this week, and talked about it, but there's a lot of arguing if it is an Avatar land, if it is just sort of an experience. They use that word experience a lot, even for attractions and lands now, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see exactly what Disneyland's getting, but the overarching goal is that by investing large amounts into the parks, they can also see large revenue growth as capacity is added, which allows more guests to stay in Disney hotels, purchase tickets, and spend in the parks through shopping and dining. If you guys have been watching this show for any amount of time, I have screamed this 100 times. This is the most obvious way to make money, right? If you are limiting capacity through a reservation system and not willing to let more people in unless there's the capacity for them, well, how do you sell more tickets then? The answer is you have more land, more rides, more shops, more restaurants, more restrooms, more anything and everything so that you can comfortably fit more people in the park. That's how you get people in. And beyond that, as I've said a million times, if you continually invest, if you always have something new and always something great for guests, like, people will give you whatever amount of money. If the place is as unbelievably great as it can be, and you keep building really big, themed, immersive lands with great attractions, the sky is the limit for profits, right? Like, people will not argue that your prices are insane if you show them just the most unbelievable place they've ever been that they clamor to return to anytime they can, right? So I completely agree. This is, if there is any sign that Iger and DeMauro have their head on their shoulders and understand completely what they need to do to fix everything, this is it. This is the sign. This is the first time, like even, you know, I love Michael Eisner to death. I love that era of the parks. But the problem is that that's when they started to trail off. Right? They were still doing all this big, amazing stuff, but they didn't keep up with attendance by adding capacity continuously, right? That didn't happen. So the Magic Kingdom became the most visited park in the world, and attendance kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And, you know, occasionally they kept refreshing stuff or redoing areas, but not really adding the capacity for a park that went from, it went from, you know, 12 or 13 million guests to when it hit 17 and more. You got to add that capacity. Like, of course it's going to feel crowded and just not enjoyable, but that's what I said. I know so many people walked out of that expo presentation or watched it at home and just started railing it. And I remember coming out of that presentation, looking at my phone and being like, why are people so upset? Like, I know they said it's blue sky, right? They said blue sky, so they're not committing that 100% this is what's going to happen. But like the fact that that was the plan showed such a commitment to what I had been preaching for so long, and I'm not claiming to be a genius or that I know better than anyone. That's not what I'm saying. It is the obvious answer, right? I am not some special genius. If you work in this business, it is so clear that that is the way to make more money, right? So I saw that plan come up between, it's like Dino Land's a disaster, we got to do Moana and Zootopia, and then for Magic Kingdom, it's like, you know what, Magic Kingdom's great, they need more to do, we need more lands, we need more attractions. And I looked at that and I was like, this shows such a fundamental understanding of what your core problems are. And between this and what they've done with the little changes to reservations, getting rid of parking fees at hotels, all that other stuff, it just again proves we are getting rid of Harmonious, getting rid of Enchantment. We are on the right track. It is very clear that we are finally on the right track. And knock on wood, they're going to see this thing through. I am very excited for the future. And this statement just, it's so refreshing to hear them say the things that are so obviously correct. It's an exciting time. And I am counting down the minutes until we make all those additions official. And on a personal note, I think, especially Disneyland Paris posting those tremendous numbers, I am so excited. I am sure they're going to announce more for them. And finally, again, talking about not adding capacity for a long time. I mean, it's been 20-something years since Disneyland Paris has added an e-ticket to that park. And the last major addition they made was just the Buzz Lightyear shooter ride in that park. So, God, I hope they continue to see those profits and it convinces them, again, improve on that expansion to Walt Disney Studios, get some new stuff in the most beautiful castle park on earth, being Disneyland Paris, and do it all tastefully. And because, again, if you're going to add anything to that park, it needs to be absolutely gorgeous, every bit of attention to detail and quality. Please do not degrade the quality of the most beautiful castle park ever built. I've ranted enough though, but I'm excited. You can tell it's not, how many years I sat here and was negative. It's nice to feel some excitement for the first time in a long time. The bill, well, knock down my mood a little bit. The bill for the state of Florida to take over and rename the Reedy Creek Improvement District has passed the Florida House of Representatives. The bill passed 81-31. It'll move to the Florida Senate next. House Bill 9B will rename the district the Central Florida Tourism Oversight Board and consist of a board appointed only by the governor of members who cannot have worked in the theme park industry within 3 years. Walt Disney World will no longer lose their tax exemptions as the district is not being dissolved, just renamed and given a governor-appointed board. Yet another amendment by Representative Escamani to limit Governor DeSantis' power over the board failed. What a continuing craziness. This program is brought to you by our official travel agent sponsor, The Vacationeer, the engineers of your next magical vacation. Sit back and let their team of vacation planning experts craft your family's next magical Disney trip. The best part is their services are free. Visit www.nt.travel for details. The new pathway that connects Tomorrowland and Storybook Circus to the Magic Kingdom has now opened for guests enjoying the Tron Light Cycle Run previews. Such a pathway existed prior to the construction of Tron, but was demolished. The path is the brown sidewalk to the left of the elevated Tron Light Cycle Run walkway that goes up to the entrance and exit. A sign reading Storybook Circus directs guests towards it. The sidewalk takes guests below the elevated walkway and the coaster multiple times. There are even benches and trash cans along the route, so you can just sit and hang out. It's a fun spot. You look up at Tron going by. I can't wait to see it at night. Tomorrow, we record this at 1 in the morning on Thursday night into Friday, by the way, in case you didn't know that. On Friday night, I am going to another cast preview thing, thankfully, thanks to another kind person. And it's my first night preview, and I'm very excited to go check out this walkway and everything at night. Very excited. You can watch our full POV of Tron Light Cycle Run right here on the channel, and let us know if you're happy to see this path. I think there's so many little things, like, go watch my hour-long review of Tron if you haven't. I'm not going to bore you with my thoughts here if you don't want to hear them. There's a whole video you can watch otherwise. I'm so happy about these other little things, right? To have that path reopened, and it's such a pretty walk now. It goes kind of sort of past the Speedway, which is a nice view, and then it goes under Tron, which is great, and it comes out at Circus. The view from Circus isn't great. I'm going to complain about that show building a million times, but I like this path, and I love the new restrooms at Tron. All these little things make me very happy in that area. But Tron also, it's fun. Construction has moved up to the very top of Splash Mountain as it's transformed into Tiana's Bayou Adventure at the Magic Kingdom. We've seen plenty of work on the ground since Splash Mountain closed a few weeks ago. The water ride was drained and crews constructed pathways across the trough and with wooden planks and scaffolding. We saw a few crew members working in the small rock tunnel after the big drop. A large chunk of fake rock has been torn out, revealing the steel framework and a wooden box beneath. More wooden boxes sit to the side of the track as well. Looking up, construction materials have arrived at the top of the hill. Scaffolding and a blue tarp stretch across the opening of the final drop, protecting crew members and blocking work from guest view, by the way. And more scaffolding, fences, and scrim line the highest sections of the exterior track and trough. Scaffolding has also been erected around this tree in the birdhouses. Similar birdhouses already removed from the queue. And we will continue to bring you day-by-day updates, right? We're watching them deconstruct Splash and build Tiana in real time. Put the pedal to the metal with new Rock and Roller Coaster merchandise at Disney's Hollywood Studios. We found the apparel items in Rock Around the Shop at the ride's exit, but the mug was at Celebrity Five and Dime on Hollywood Boulevard. The tank top is $34.99. It's pink with a guitar on the front, and Rock and Roller Coaster and Merge Like You've Never Merged Before are on ribbons across the guitar. I like that. Rock and Roller Coaster pullover is $54.99. The pullover features the design from the other recently released pin, reading "Put the pedal to the metal," around a winged limo. And then there is a mug for $19.99. It's a stoneware mug featuring the "Put the pedal to the metal" design. Design is light gray with black details set against a black speckled background. The handle looks like a loop of fire, and it says "Make it a super stretch" on the other side with the Rock and Roller Coaster logo, and since 1999, the opening year of the attraction. For the absolute latest on these stories and all that didn't make it into today's show, be sure to check WDWNT.com and follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. You can support the entire team behind this show and others by joining the WDWNT Interglobe Society at patreon.com/WDWNT. Get access to exclusive content, discounted show and event tickets, and more. And a special shout out to all of our WIGS members watching who make this show happen every week. For the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is Tom Corliss saying, enjoy the rest of your today and have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
Now on WDWNT TV, it's Boxed In. Boxed In is a casually chaotic show featuring WDWNT personalities Eric Morton and Jill Diffendahl, unboxing Disney merchandise and viewer packages, along with a few friends and a bossy little Pomeranian. So smash that like button, subscribe and comment, and keep up with the new Disney merchandise releases, seasonal releases, festival merchandise, limited edition merchandise, wishables, pins, and more. Join us Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern on WDWNT TV.